Welcome to the New Jersey Room. My name is Danny Klein, and I've been a librarian at the Jersey City Free Public Library's New Jersey Room since 2012. Full-time, I used to work part-time and work as a volunteer before that. I myself am a member of the Association of Professional Genealogists, and I'm a founding member of the Hudson County Genealogical and Historical Society, and I write a monthly genealogy column for the Jersey Journal, where I used to work before I was a librarian for 10 years as a reporter and editor. But enough about me. Uh, the New Jersey Room is open as we see here, so let's come inside and see what we have. A little bit of background history about the library. The library was founded in 1889, 2 rooms on Washington Street in downtown Jersey City. But they soon found that they needed some more space. Cornerstone for the main library building was laid in 1899, and then the library opened and dedicated in 1901. We have since expanded to in addition to the main library, to 6 regional branches, 3 neighborhood branches, and a bookmobile that visits different parts of the city. In 1964, the New Jersey Room was founded to help celebrate New Jersey's tercentenary. And all the New Jersey and Hudson County items were put in the New Jersey Room, and we've been collecting on our own ever since. Our collection policy focuses on Jersey City and Hudson County, but true to our name, we do have items about New Jersey and the metropolitan area, especially considering the close ties between New York and New Jersey during the Dutch colonial era. So we do have some New York items in our collection as well. So let's talk about the genealogy resources that we have. We'll start with our digital services. We offer Ancestry Library Edition, which thanks to Ancestry, we're allowing people to access from home at least until June 30th. We also have a database of fire insurance maps online, which includes Sanborn maps and Hopkins maps and other similar type maps that help to inform our patrons about what the city looked like at different parts of its history. We have those two actually are available only with a valid Jersey City library card from home, as is the Jersey Journal, which I'll get to in a second. One of our homegrown databases is the Hudson County High School Yearbook indexes, and we're still working on that. Right now, we have up some early Dickinson High School names and some of the private high schools that were in Jersey City at the time, and I'll get into the yearbook collection in a little bit also. We offer access to Heritage Quest Online, as do most, if not all, of New Jersey libraries through Jersey Clicks. The Jersey Journal and Star Ledger Archives are a Newsbank product, and the Jersey Journal is the local newspaper of record. Like I said, it's where I worked for 10 years. It goes back to 1867 when it was the Evening Journal Association. It was an afternoon paper and became a morning paper when the Hudson Dispatch went out of business in 1991. We also have the Star Ledger going back to 1989. And that's all digitized and keyword searchable online. And we also have a database called Social Explorer, which gives demographic information, both historic and current, if our patron needs that type of information. One of our newer assets that we've put up is a LibGuide, which, as you can see here, it has a lot of information about the New Jersey, excuse me, the New Jersey Room collection, including Omeka digital libraries, which are digitized images and postcards that we have online. We have information about genealogy, doing house history, local, state, and government, and finding aids for some of our manuscript collections. A lot of that I will also get into shortly. Our city directories. We have a collection of city directories for Jersey City from 1849 to 1925. There are gaps in later years. They weren't published annually at that point. The apocryphal story is that then Jersey City Mayor Frank Hague, who has a reputation all by himself, and he's, I guess, in good part responsible for Hudson County's political reputation. The story is that he didn't want any lists of people that could be compared to voter lists. So eventually those companies stopped publishing city directories altogether in 1925. I have no idea if that's true or not, but let's not let that get in the way of a good story. We have city directories also for North Hudson, which are the towns like West New York, North Bergen, Union City, which at the time would have been either West Hoboken or Union Hill. For West Hudson, which are the towns of Kearny, East Newark, and Harrison, and also for Bayonne and Hoboken. We have Hudson County and New Jersey industrial directories, going back. Quickest phone book is from 1912, actually, not very thick, but it's there, and we have that. We also have reverse directories. Those are recent. Well, they are recent. They're not really historical. They only go back to the mid-1980s or so. The city directories that we have do not have a reverse directory, so you can only look people up by name and not by address. So, our newspaper collection, like I said, Newsbank. We have the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger. For those of you, Newsbank is this company that owns Genealogy Bank. The Newsbank user interface is a little bit more robust. The search interface is a little bit more robust than what you find on Genealogy Bank. So a lot of people like to come and use our database. Excuse me. On microfilm, we have the Jersey Journal from 1867 to 2019. In 2020, they stopped sending out microfilm papers out to be microfilmed. So that's why it only goes to 2019. The Hudson Dispatch was a paper that covered the North Hudson area. They were based in Union City, and we cover that from 1900 to 1991. The Jersey Observer was a Hoboken paper and covered all of Hudson County. And then we have historical newspapers like the American Standard, which eventually turned into the Argus, and the Jersey City News. And we have some other 19th century newspapers, some weeklies available in our collection. The picture is, and I'm sorry it's cut off. I was wrestling with PowerPoint to try and get the whole thing in, but that is from the Black Tom explosion in 1916. And if you, let me see if I can get this right. If you look at the date, you'll see it says Sunday evening. This is one of the only times that the Jersey Journal ever published on a Sunday. Was for a story like this. Next, we have our high school yearbook collection. We are collecting yearbooks for all Hudson County municipalities. This is the pet project of our recently retired New Jersey room manager, Cynthia Harris, who was a Jersey City school teacher early in her career. We currently have more than 1,700 yearbooks, close to 1,800. We actually have more, but that's what's in our catalog. We are indexing names and other information of graduating seniors, like nicknames and addresses when they're given. Some of these indexes, like I said, are free on our website, but you can always give us a call, and we can look up a name for you if need be. And you can actually see what we have available. You could go to our catalog, our online catalog at jclibrary.org. To do a search and use the school name in the author field, and it'll give you a list of the yearbooks that we have for that school. Next, some of our images, things from our image collection. This is a photograph from a book that was published in 1897 called Artwork of Jersey City, which many photographs of Jersey City at the time. This is Summit Avenue looking north. I'm not sure what the cross street here is, but in 1897, this may have been an almost typical view in Jersey City. Oops. This is another one from the 1940s, Jackson Avenue, now Martin Luther King Drive, and Clinton Avenue. If you look to the right of the building, there's a billboard there with Thomas E. Dewey for president. We also have in our image collection photos from the Brooks survey, which I'll get to. That's a historic preservation survey, and the Dan McNulty collection. McNulty was a funeral director who dabbled in photography in his spare time, and shot street scenes of Jersey City in the 1940s and 1950s. And they're really great photographs. He worked as a stringer for AP for a while, so they sent him to photograph the Duke and Duchess of Windsor in the 1950s at the Jersey Shore of all places. We also have a great many portraits. This is Dr. Lena Edwards, African-American doctor and obstetrician. She attended Howard University and Howard University Medical School and moved to Jersey City to practice with her husband in 1925. She joined the medical center, Jersey City Medical Center staff in 1931, but she wasn't admitted to residency until 1945. And she was eventually awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964. It's been said that she's responsible for the birth of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of babies in Jersey City at the medical center. Also part of our collection are postcards. This is a photo postcard of the Bergen Reformed Church, also known as the Old Bergen Church. This church is still standing on Bergen Avenue in Jersey City. It's the oldest in the oldest congregation. It went back, goes back to Dutch colonial times. If you're interested, they do have records there, births, marriages, and deaths. But you would have those aren't records that we have in the New Jersey room, but they do answer research questions, but it takes them a little while, I think. And this postcard is circa 1907. Just to clarify, that's not the oldest church building. They've been in different buildings, but it is the oldest congregation. We have a collection of vertical files. They contain newspaper clippings and other printed matter that we collect on different subjects over the years. They're grouped in 3 series: biographical, organizations, and general information. The bio and the organizations are alphabetized. And general is a general subject index. Right here, we're looking at the cities and towns drawer. We have all told about 75 of these drawers filled with files on different topics, churches, housing, politics, sports, world wars, monuments of Jersey City and Hudson County, and also some of the files are about issues throughout the state of New Jersey. Here we have some of the contents of a typical file. I think Nancy might get a kick out of this because this is from Plainfield. This is from our Plainfield file. Both Nancy and Sarah will like this, I think. It includes a story about an article about the restoration of Grace Episcopal's Church Rectory. Here's something about Drake House, the Plainfield Historical Society and the Centennial Celebration Committee. Also a walking tour of the Van Wyck Brooks Historical District, and some other items, capital improvement program reports from the city. This little short article from the Public Service Review in 1927 contains a nice aerial photo of the area. So the contents of a typical vertical file. We also have quite a selection of maps. Some of them are online through the Fire Insurance Maps Online database. There is some overlap between our personal collection and what they offer, and they have some things that we don't have, and we have some things that they don't have in our collection. This is the wood map from 1855 and shows owners' names on some of the properties in Jersey City. I'll try to get to a better view of that. Let me just go through a couple more of these. We have a large collection of assessment maps. These were maps that were made as the city prepared to improve some of the streets and roadways. This is a good genealogical resource because, as you see, there are some property owners' names there. Now, they would be the property owners at the time the map was made. This map is from Maple Street, which is in the Bergen Lafayette section of Jersey City, and is from 1921. And we'll try and get a better view of that as well. And this is a bird's eye map of Jersey City, and it's bordered by some of the buildings. This map is pretty accurate as near as I can tell. You see downtown in the foreground, and then up on the hill towards the right is Jersey City Heights and the Five Corners Journal Square area. Let me see if I can. Can you guys see this?
We just see your slide screen. We don't see just.
Oh, okay. That's too bad. Okay. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I don't want to mess with this a whole lot. I'll go back to the slides. The assessment maps, just let me go back to the assessment maps because there's a great story behind this. There was a Jersey City police officer who used to come into the New Jersey room to do genealogical research. And one day he called us out of the blue and said, the city gave us this huge cabinet that's locked, and we wanted some place where we could store some of our equipment. And when they broke it open, they found a bunch of these maps. Now, the higher ups told them to throw away anything that they found once they opened the cabinet up. But he said, no, let's call the New Jersey room and see if they want this. So thanks to that police officer, we now have nearly 500 of these maps with thousands of names on them for genealogy researchers. Okay, house history resources. Like I said, we have our fire insurance map collection, Sanborn's, Fowler, Hopkins. Those are all companies that made these type of maps, show the city in enough detail where they can, where you can see, and they offer details of the house. The maps are colored, and that shows what the construction of the house is: brick, wood, stone or cement, etc. So you can use these maps to go back in time, really. Essentially, it's like going in a time machine to try and determine where, when a house was built. Along with that, one of the maps that we have is the 1908 Hopkins map. And to go with that, we have the 1908 Jersey City tax list, which is broken down by block and lot numbers. And you can find out who owned that property in 1908 when that map was brand new, and how much they paid. And believe me, a lot of people are surprised when they see what the tax rates were back then. The Brooks survey is a preservation study that was done in the mid 1980s. Joe Brooks went and did research basically on much of Jersey City. All of the, he went through the city except for what were the historic districts at the time, because they had already been researched. But what he did was create these little architectural paragraphs with historic information about the houses. And he photographed a lot of those houses too. We have, like I said, as part of the image collection, we have those photographs. Some are regular photographs, but we do have a great many contact sheets, which we can scan at a high res and high resolution and offer to patrons if they're interested in seeing a 1980s picture of their house. It's not really historic 1980s, but it's almost like on the verge of being historic. It's that long ago. We have the state and national historic site applications for Jersey City's historic district. So if you live in one of those areas, you can do a little bit of research there. Or if you have ancestors that live there, if you're interested in that property. And we also have some general reference materials on architecture and preservation. The Field Guide to American Homes, for example, and items like that can help you do general research about the house and the era it was built. And we have manuscript collections as well. The William H. Richardson papers, he was the city historian under Frank Hague, and he was a very curmudgeonly guy. His correspondence, he was of the belief that the Paulus Hook section of Jersey City, the word Paulus should have been spelled Powles, because that was the way George Washington spelled it in his correspondence, instead of what we consider the normal spelling now of Paulus. But his correspondence is filled with letters to Harvard and Yale history professors, correcting them on their usage. So he was quite a character. Ted Conrad and John Gomez are preservationists. John is currently a Jersey City school teacher. Ted was active in the 1960s, and he was an architect and architectural model builder who collected a lot of preservation materials. John is one of the founders of the Jersey City Landmarks Conservancy. So we have their papers. The Jersey City Women's Club, we have their organizational records. We don't have a finding aid for that yet. What we have is pretty much like a collection level description, but that's something that we're working on. And those are, like I said, organizational records, meeting minutes, et cetera, et cetera. Paul Frankel collection. Paul was a West New York antique and ephemera collector, and we have his collection. That's quite an interesting collection. A lot of political material that's been collected over the years, but a lot of historical material too. We have a 18th century quitclaim deed that he got his hands on somehow, so that's in that collection. We have small collections like the Jersey City Choral Society. Those are just some programs, clippings, and sheet music. And Jersey City Board of Education scrapbooks. There's about 110 of these, I think, that range from 1897 to 1948. That's a pretty good genealogical resource, but you have to kind of know what you're looking for and when it happened. And we have Jersey City Elementary School registers. This is sort of a closed collection. We're not allowed to show anything that's less than 100 years old, but these are school registers for the Jersey City elementary school. So students' names were listed, and you could get some information about those students. It's not a complete collection by any means. There is no there's no index for it. We only have certain schools for certain years, but it certainly might be worth a shot if you're doing Jersey City genealogy to have a look into these. And finally, we're going to end up with some news you can use. This is a phrase that we used in the newspaper business for informational type news. The New Jersey Room during COVID is currently staffed from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and 9 to 5 on Friday and Saturday. We are open to the public by appointment only. We can only let one group of people, one person or one party in at a time. Our public research hours are only in the mornings, and you could see that information there. There are COVID protocols to be followed. You do need to have a temperature check and wear a mask and socially distance at all times. And when contacting us for an appointment, or even when COVID is over, call us to ask about parking. We can help you in that respect, because it's street parking only in downtown Jersey City. And we can give you some hints on what to look for parking. And finally, contact information, jclibrary.org. There's our address, Jersey Avenue in Jersey City. We're right next to Van Vorst Park on Jersey Avenue between Montgomery and Mercer Streets. Telephone number for the room, and some email addresses. John Beekman, our department manager, he's listed there, as well as myself and Yolanda Cahey, who we are the staff of the New Jersey Room. And lastly, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't go too fast or was too unintelligible. But thank you very much.